let's talk about how to get your man to fully provide for you using your goddess energy. Now, the other day I got a question, and this babe told me, Linda, I am about to give my man an ultimatum, and I've told him this year, whether he likes it or not, he has to provide for me or I leave. Now, when I saw that message, in my mind, I thought, oh my goodness, the biggest mistake you can make as a woman in a relationship with a man is to give him an ultimatum. You cannot force a grown man to do something that he doesn't want. Yeah? So that's why I'm talking about how to get a man to provide for you, especially if you are in a committed relationship with him. The first thing, can this man provide for you? And this was the first question I asked her. Depending on the kind of lifestyle that you want to lead, can this man afford? And many women want to bypass this question and skip right to the very end without considering whether, first of all, does this man want to be a provider? Because not all men can be in the provider role. Not all men want to take up that responsibility to be the leader of the home financially. There are some men who actually want to build with a woman. There are some women who are built like that. So if you started off your relationship being the builder kind of a wife, and then now you want to upgrade and switch, there are some very strategic steps. You need two things. First of all, feminine strategy, and then the second thing, patience, for you to be able to turn around this relationship so that you can get what you want, especially if you still want to be in this relationship with him. So like I mentioned, the first thing is find out. And you don't have to ask him, you know your man already. What are his sources of income? Can he afford you? Okay? What I feel is, if you have a man who has a career and multiple sources of income, and we're having this conversation with my hubby today over lunch, a man needs to be able to have multiple sources of income. So if you have a man who is gainfully employed and is probably doing other businesses, this man can easily be able to provide for you. So that's the first thing you need to check. The second thing, you have to start to do some inner work to find out what made you end up being in a 50-50 relationship in the first place. Okay? There's an element in terms of what you feel about yourself, probably what you grew up seeing, maybe what kind of relationships were modeled for you. The other time I was speaking with one of my clients, and she told me she grew up in a home where she saw the mom as the primary provider. So we all come from very different backgrounds. There are some ladies who come up from, based on backgrounds where their mothers built with their husbands, with their fathers. And that is where a lot of inner work comes, because chances are you will end up replaying a lot of the relationship roles that you saw growing up simply because you do not know better, or that's the frame of mind that's been given to you. So until you do some inner work to start shifting some of those beliefs, what you think about yourself, what you feel you deserve, what you feel you're worth, and so that you can start to really fully own the fact that you want a man to provide for you, it's going to be very difficult. And that's why this baby is coming off guns blazing. She's angry. Anger is good. I always say anger is good, because once you start to feel angry about a situation, you're ready to start shifting. You're ready to start moving. However, with that anger, you need strategy and guidance so that you're able to shift the relationship. Okay, so that's the second step. Do inner work just to validate and just to really understand why you ended up in that relationship in the first place. Okay? And then the third thing, you need to start leading with your femininity. And this is a really big piece that will also come together with doing your inner work. Because once you start to do your inner work, you understand what are some of the masculine layers that you've been holding on to. Did you grow up feeling, or did you feel that you had to prove your worth to this man? Are you the kind of babe who feels like the only way you're worth to a man is if you have your degrees, you make a lot of money, and you're able to bring something to the table financially, because a lot of that is masculine hiring. Yeah, and I work with a lot of very successful career women, and most of them naturally are in their masculine energy, and I understand that because I once was that kind of a wife, and I really have had to shift so many things within me so that I am now where I am at now, and I'm always growing, I'm always learning, I'm always cultivating myself, because it takes time to develop those hard layers, all those masculine habits you've developed. It's taken you a lot of time for it to shape you into well into your 30s. So to start to become aware and unlearn some of those habits takes time. So you can start with the little things, being more feminine in the home. Can you start to ask him for a little bit more help? It can be something as simple as opening the jars, opening the doors, so that you start to lean back a lot more. Ladies, men provide for feminine women. And there is a way feminine women are. Feminine women are generally softer. They are softer in their demeanor. Men love to help women. They want to be needed. Men need a purpose. So if you're so capable and you're so independent, such that even if he forgets to pay the power bill, he knows you're going to pay your power bill. If he knows like you're so capable of doing everything, then he's like, okay, what tends to happen is he ends up relaxing. And even the little things, like even if he feels he wants to buy a new car, he'll be like, oh, my wife will be able to chip in 50% because she's capable. That's how you've positioned yourself. So once you start to lean back into your softer feminine side, naturally he has no choice but to rise up. Because what I know is relationship, it's an energetic agreement. Yeah? Even by the time you're getting married, he was proposing to you knowing the kind of woman he's proposing to a woman who is strong, a woman who is capable. That was what he was signing up for. So by the time you're shifting this relationship to saying, wait a minute, I don't want to do 50-50 anymore, I want to become a fully provided for wife, what you're doing is you're changing the energy in that relationship. So you're starting to lean back more. You're starting to be in your feminine more. You're starting to realize, wait a minute, I don't want to always be in the masculine side. I want to rest in my femininity. I want to spend more time with my kids. Or I even want to quit my 9 to 5 and become, do my own creative project. I have so many of such ladies who send me messages every day. They want to take a career break and just focus on the home, but they feel so trapped because their man expects them to give 50% of the paycheck. So once you start to show up in a more feminine way, remember you're shifting the energy in that relationship. So there are a couple of things that will happen. This man will be like, okay, my wife is no longer in her initiating, director, controlling role. She does not want to start contributing 50% like he's used to. She's leaning back more. Three things can happen. Either he can decide he does not want to be a part of this relationship. Because remember, when you're saying you don't want to give 50% of your paycheck, or you want him to really take up the full responsibility, he may or may not want to take up that role. So that's one possibility. It may rock your relationship and it might end your relationship. The second thing that might happen, he might decide, okay, wow, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. He might feel inspired to step up. But remember, you cannot make this shift from the current woman that you are right now. You have to rise up and become the next level version of yourself. You have to show up as the trophy. What is the next level version of you? How does she dress? How does she talk? How does she think? How does she carry herself? What are her standards? How does she love herself? What does that next level version show up as? Is she a victim? Or Is she the kind of woman who's like, okay, I've been through what I've been through, now I'm ready to move past that and rewrite my story? How do you think? Because remember, at the end of the day, a man needs to be able to look at you like the prize, yeah? Like the trophy, for him to feel inspiration. Women, we are the ones who inspire men to do things. So if you're there looking like another man, you're showing up in such strong masculine energy, no matter how good you look, still your energy is that of combat. So like even this babe who was telling me, she told her man, this year, you better pay my bills, or you better pay all the 50%, or else. It doesn't matter how good she looks, already that energy is masculine. And as women, we have something called seduction. And this is something many women do not know. Seduction is not a dirty word. It's how you inspire and make a man do what you want. You cannot be able to inspire him to do what he needs to do by force. You have to start showing up as a trophy. And once you start showing up as the trophy, the third thing that will happen is you might end up feeling like, maybe I don't want this man after all. You might shift. You might change your mind. You might decide, no, I'm worth more. I want better. So you shift. Once you start to show up in your feminine way, once you start to decide, you know what, because it also takes a lot. I work with some ladies privately, and I can tell you, women have a lot of fears. They fear even owning the fact that they want to be provided for. Sometimes it takes weeks for them to say, you know what, Linda, I really just want to be able to rest. Even if I'm doing my job, I should be able to like tell my boss, oh, you know what, I can take a voluntary exit package because you know that you're covered at home. And you're not doing this because you're lazy. You can decide, fine, you're taking a career break, but deep down, remember that next level version of herself, what does she do with her life? She has a purpose, she has creative skills, she has ambitions of her own, which she wants to do in a certain way. So once you decide to show up in a more feminine way, you show up in your next level version of yourself, the last step you need to take is to communicate what you want. And one of the things that so many women rush to do is you rush to have a conversation with a man from the same level of woman that you are. My goodness, what's going to happen? First of all, you probably have the conversation the same way. Nothing has changed about you. You're still the same woman. There are no new set of skills, no new set of tricks that you've learned. You're just you. So what will happen, same thing that has always happened, it's going to become an argument. Most likely it's going to become an argument and nothing will change. And that's the really critical piece, how you communicate to your man. How you inspire him, how you tell him. And remember, by this point, you are really truly showing up as a trophy, not for him, but for yourself. Because you looked at your life and you're like, oh my goodness, what was this standard I placed myself on? But you cannot wake up and go from 50-50 right up to telling your man he has to provide for you. It will not work. That's why there are very specific steps, and this is what I teach privately with my clients. I get them from the point of 50-50 right up to even writing scripts for how to have the conversation. But like I mentioned, it requires feminine strategy, it requires patience for you to be able to shift the relationship, especially if you have children involved. And what will happen is, actually at that point you're having the conversation about 50-50, you will find there are some other things that you want. You might find that there are some other agreements that you want to make. Maybe you want to spend more quality time. Maybe you want to do more travel. That is the time to have that conversation to get him to fully provide for you. So just as a recap, first step, find out, is your man the provider man type? Number two, does he have the income to get you to where you want? Because this cannot work on a broke man. Your man needs to be having money coming through to him. Number three, you need to do your inner work so that you can just start to work on your self-worth. Because to be honest, when you're in a 50-50 relationship, there's a lot of self-worth issues that comes in. Okay? Number four, you need to start showing up as a feminine woman, the next level version of yourself. You have to start moving differently. Number five, you need to communicate what you want in a feminine way. Yeah? So my doors are also open for the High Value Wife membership. Check out the details below. And I'm super, super excited. Let me know what are some of the questions. If you have anything you need me to speak about when it comes to being a provided for wife, or how to shift from 50-50 to fully provided for wife, drop your comments in the comments box. Bye for now.